How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit TemptationsTreats.com to learn more. This episode is brought to you by PetSmart. Stop by for Yappy Hour with your pet at PetSmart. Save $5 on walk-in grooming services like nail trims, ear cleaning, brushing, and more. No appointment needed every weekday from 2 to 6 p.m. And while you're there, Yappy Hour includes exclusive in-store deals like 25% off pet toys. Visit services.petsmart.com/grooming to learn more.
Welcome to Wrestling with Hart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Hart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show. And with me right now, I've got a very special guest. He is a longtime referee. He's worked for the WWE. He's got his own radio show, podcast. He's written a book. Pleased to welcome the one, the only, Jimmy Korderas. Welcome, Jimmy, to Wrestling with Hart.
Well, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. So you're from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Tell me about your childhood and upbringing.
Oh, well, coming from a Greek background, my parents emigrated from Greece and came to Canada. It's funny, I have an older brother and older sister who were both born in Greece. I'm the only one in my family actually born here in Canada. So it's kind of strange. I guess I was, in some people's eyes, in my family, a happy accident, maybe? I don't know how to put it, but...
Multicultural.
Yes. And growing up in a Greek home, of course, very strict, very religion-based, Greek Orthodox growing up, and which is great, man. Everybody has their own beliefs, and I believe that everybody should believe in what they believe in, and it shouldn't matter to anybody else. I mean, we should all be, respectful of everyone's beliefs, as long as it doesn't hurt other people.
Exactly. All right. So, big wrestling fan growing up. Did you always watch it as a kid?
Absolutely. Like here in Toronto, we were so blessed, especially when I was a kid. We had so much wrestling on television. It wasn't just one or two companies. We had, depending on the affiliates, because here in Toronto, we used to get the Buffalo affiliates for U.S. stations. So we would get, of course, Maple Leaf Wrestling, which was the flagship here in Toronto and in Ontario. We would get Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling from a Buffalo affiliate. We would get AWA Wrestling from another affiliate here. We would get, who else would we get? International Wrestling from Montreal. We would get Stampede Wrestling from Calgary. WWF Wrestling, again, from another affiliate. It was just so much wrestling that I'd spend all my Saturdays watching wrestling. And then at night, of course, it was hockey night in Canada, since I'm here in Canada. And, other kids would go out and play on Saturdays, and my parents would have to go out and play. And I said, no, there's wrestling on. I want to watch wrestling.
So it's amazing though, because you're into these two different sports, but it's like you got so much content out there. And I know Canada's got a huge hockey scene as well as a big wrestling scene. Mm-hmm. And getting the chance to watch both and be a part of that crowd, that atmosphere. You can't ask for anything better than that. I mean, because it's really nothing like it in the world.
No, there absolutely isn't. I mean, a lot of people have this. There is a stigma attached to pro wrestling. I mean, some people kind of look down on it as kind of a lowbrow form of entertainment, but at the same time, I enjoy it. It's. I get it. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but if people would just look at it for what it is a form of entertainment. You know what? Sports is sports, but at the same time, if you're not entertained by the sport that you're watching, then you won't look at it the same way. If people would just look at it as entertainment and treat it as such and try to enjoy what they enjoy, and I think it'd be a lot better off if they did that.
It's the old classic story of good versus evil, good versus bad. There's
Hmm.
conflict, there's resolution, there's a story that's being told in front of you, whether you're in the crowd at a live show or watching it on television. You are captivated by what is going on in the ring. And so, growing up as a kid, who were some of your favorite wrestlers to watch?
Man, as a kid, I used to, up here in Canada, there was a famous wrestler, of course, by the name of Whipper Billy Watson. I caught the tail end of his career as a kid. Was blessed to see him. But as I got older, I started to appreciate more the athleticism, and guys like a Leo Burke up here was really really good and really talented. I for some reason, even as a kid, I kind of gravitated to the heels a little bit because to me they were a lot more fun. There was a tag team up here called the Love Brothers, Hartford and Reginald Love, who I really enjoyed. But as I got a little bit older, Steamboat and Youngblood as a tag team, I was a huge Ricky Steamboat fan. Loved Ricky Steamboat. Of course, Jimmy Snuka as well. Who can ever forget that infamous leap off the top of the cage against Don Morocco? Some great stuff like that. And um, it was guys like that, that I gravitated towards. Roddy Piper, of course. I mean, how much more entertaining can you get than that?
No, I mean, great on the microphone, such an amazing heel, bad guy. You just love to boo him every time he comes out there. Um, and it's amazing how you get all these different styles and variety of wrestlers, whether they're talkers, big men, high flyers. Uh, where else can you really see something like this? No other sport or part of entertainment really has such diversity in size and height and everything. And pro wrestling, I feel like brings the best of both worlds, and you get so much
I mean,
athleticism.
yeah, that's the classic story. You hit the nail on the head where you say variety. There's a variety of talents out there. You've got when you have a big man versus a little man, that's the classic David and Goliath story. You have the good versus evil. You have to have a protagonist and an antagonist to tell a good story. If everybody's a good guy or everybody's a bad guy, then who am I cheering for? Or who do I want to see get their butt whipped? You know what I mean? That kind of
Right,
stuff.
exactly. So did you know as a kid that you wanted to get involved in the wrestling business?
Not quite as a youngster. As I got older and I started attending live events here in Toronto, when I was old enough to go by myself, I started getting an itch. Like, I was thinking I would love to do something in the wrestling business because I enjoy it so much, but I didn't have an idea what. It was just I want to be a part of this in some form or fashion. That was it. I had no game plan. It was just I got to do something here.
Yeah, and I think that's the cool thing about the wrestling business is there's so many roles and capacities that you can get involved in. You don't have to be 265 and big muscles, get in the ring, jump in the ring, but you can be a referee, you can be a manager, a commentator, ring announcer. There's all kinds of roles. And so, what drew you in to being a referee?
Well, it kind of happened by accident because one of my hobbies when I was attending these matches was taking pictures of the talent and coming back the next event and selling those pictures to try and fuel my wrestling habit. It kind of paid for it. And I found out by somebody who worked for Jack Tunney at the time that it's not quite legal to do that. That was just some copyright things that he explained to me, but he was very nice about it. He said, "You know what? You don't seem like a bad guy. I won't turn you in. Just don't do it right in front of the venue where everybody could see you, and you're going to get in trouble." And we became good friends. And then he introduced me to Jack Tunney to see if he could bring me on as his assistant because he took the photographs for the program in the magazine here in Toronto. And Jack basically said, "Well, we don't need another photographer, but we'll find something for the kid to do." And started off as doing odd jobs, whatever it was, handing me the keys to his car and saying, "Go pick up go pick up Andre the Giant at the airport and bring him down and stuff like that. And one day, Pat Patterson, it had been about a year or so of doing all kinds of whatever needed to be done. I was the gopher kind of guy, just it needs to be done. Jimmy will do it, kind of thing. And Pat just said, "Well, Jack, we have the kid during the show. He's just sitting here waiting for something to do. Why don't we use him? We'll make him a referee." And Jack says to Pat, he says, "Yeah, but do you want to smarten the kid up?" And Pat says, "Well, he's kind of hanging out with the boys in the locker room. He kind of has an idea what's going on." So then Pat just told me, he says, "Get your black sneakers, black pants, the blue shirt, and the black bow tie. Carry it with you at all times." And that's what got the ball rolling.
Yeah, I mean, everybody starts somewhere and you move up the ladder, and this incredible role that you got to do for so many years and are still doing today. It's a big responsibility because you have to keep both eyes on what's going on right in front of you, whether it's two guys or two girls. Uh, I'd imagine, it can be stressful at times.
It can be because it's not just a simple, hey, we go in there and we pretend to be an official and count one, two, three, and that's it. That's what the job entails. There's so much more to it because the referee is the conduit that communicates between the two talents. Like, obviously they can communicate with each other, but there are times when they're separated and somebody will tell you, "Hey, let him know this." And they'll tell you what they want next. But you have to communicate that without looking overtly like you're walking over and saying, "Hey, so and so said this." So it has to look like it's in the process of doing your job. Then especially at TVs, you're communicating times and any messages that are coming from the gorilla position, from the agent or whoever's talking to you in your earpiece. And the job of a referee is like they're kind of like the glue that holds the match together because without the referee, you can't really tell a story, but the referee is there to help the guys or the gals tell their story and not be part of the story. You're invisible until you need to be seen.
Exactly. It's like you're the person in the middle that's
Yeah,
basically trying to get everything going, and you've been a part of so many incredible matches. What were some of your favorite matches to be a part of in your WWE career?
oh my goodness, where do I begin? I've been blessed. Uh, obviously WrestleMania 24, getting to officiate the main event between Edge and The Undertaker for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's a big one. One I was extremely happy to work was Kurt Angle and Rey Mysterio that opened up. I believe it was 2002 SummerSlam. The opening match
Hmm.
was one of my favorites. Getting to do an all Canadian match for the Intercontinental Championship, Edge and Lance Storm. Again, that was a SummerSlam match, so that was kind of fun having an all Canadian match up there. Several matches with Eddie Guerrero.
Mm.
I just loved working with Eddie. He was a special, not only a special person, but he was special in ring talent. He was just on another level. He was the kind of guy that, as a referee, I would go to him prior to the match and ask, you know, "Okay, Eddie, what do you need done? What are we doing tonight?" And he says, "Well, a frog splash finish." He said, "Okay, anything else?" He says, "No, you'll know it when you see it." And I'm like, "Okay," you know.
He was just so passionate about his craft, and
Mhm.
he just hearing stories about him just was a very positive guy, and getting the chance to being in the middle of that, just to be around him. What was he like backstage?
He was at times when it came to business, he was intense. He was very serious about what he did out there. But at the same time, he was caring enough. He wanted everybody to excel. So that's why a lot of people would go to him for advice. I mean, obviously we had our locker room leader, a guy like Undertaker, was a locker room leader and that sort of. And for those who think, hey, he appointed himself, no, he didn't appoint himself the locker room leader. The locker room appointed him our leader. That's how much respect they had for him. But Eddie had just as much respect, where he would sit and he would talk to people and he was open to suggestions too, which was kind of fun because every once in a while I would be refereeing one of his matches, and this was during the lie, cheat, and steal era, especially, which was a lot of fun. And he'd be going over the match, and I'd be sitting over just listening and taking it all in. And he'd look over at me and he'd say, "What?" And I go, "What do you mean what?" He goes, "You got that look on your face. What?" I said, "Nah, nothing. Just something popped into my head." He says, "Well, tell me, what is it?" So I'd blurt it out, and he'd say, "You know what? I like that. We're going to do that tonight." Or, "You know what? Maybe we could tweak that." Or maybe, "Nah, I don't know if it'll work in this situation." But he was open to all suggestions, and he'll make anything work.
Yeah, I mean, he really was able to improvise so much, and especially during that time period. I recently got the chance to speak with Ken Anderson, who
Hmm.
had Eddie's last match, and he was talking about how he got to call. He and Eddie both like called the match on the fly, and they just
Hmm.
did it like all in the ring, like right then and there. I'd imagine hearing the news that Eddie had passed away, it really sent shockwaves throughout the locker room. Do you remember where you were when he
Yeah.
had died?
Yeah. It did. It was shocking because we were in Minneapolis. We were getting ready for a SmackDown taping, and the hotel was like basically right next to the venue, the arena in Minneapolis. So, I got up as normal and I grabbed my bags and I walked over to the arena. And as I walked into the building, one of my good friends who was in charge of merchandise, and he said, he come up to me. He said, "Did anybody talk to you?" I said, "About what?" He says, "You didn't hear about what happened to Eddie?" I said, "No, what happened?" And then he told me what happened, and I like it was just yeah, I know it sounds cliche, but it was heartbreaking. I mean, Eddie and I had a special bond. Um, you form relationships with the guys in the locker room. Some of them are closer than others, but Eddie was extremely close, and that one hurt a lot. I mean, losing a friend, um, it does hurt. You feel it, but this one, how, how I hate. Yeah, I'm trying to find the right words, but it hit me even more than usual.
Yeah, it's just
And that's no disrespect to anybody else we've lost over the years, but you know what I mean?
yeah, it's devastating. And I know you also were around at the same time when Owen died as well.
Yeah, yeah. I was like right there in the ring, and it was yeah, again, another tragic accident, and just, again, a reminder of how precious life is, and we live in this fantasy world of professional wrestling, and we get to lead these um, you know incredible lives where we're telling these stories, but then every once in a while, real life hits you like a sledgehammer, and
Yes,
really brings you back down to earth and reminds you what's important is
ex
people and family.
exactly. Exactly. Well, did you get to be around Owen as well? What was he like to be around backstage?
Oh, he was a prankster. Owen Owen was a rare human being who just by his presence can brighten up the entire locker room. For example, like if everybody's in like a grumpy mood because it's been a long trip and long tour and stuff like that, he'd show up and he'd just make everybody laugh and feel like, okay, you know, this is good. We're all okay. This is nothing. You know, he would, of course, he was a prankster, and it was almost like a badge of honor if you would get ribbed by Owen. If he played a rib on you, it was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm in.
Did you get ribbed?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. There were little things, everything from like somehow during matches he would my sneakers, he would untie my sneakers, and I don't know how he did it. And he just look at me and goes, "Jimmy, your shoes untied." And I'm like, "What? This, there's no way. The way I tied it, it's impossible." But he did it. And I remember one time we were at a hotel, and I get a call in the room about like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, with somebody claiming to be from the front desk, telling me my credit card had been declined. I have to come down and straighten this out. I said, "Can't we straighten this out in the morning?" He says, "No, no, has to be done right now, or you're going to have to leave." And I'm like, "Oh my goodness." So I put on sweats. I go downstairs and I go to the front desk and I said to the guy, "Okay, I'm here to straighten out what the problem is." And he says, "What problem?" I said, "Somebody called me and said there's a problem with my credit card." He says, "What room are you in?" So he checks it. And he says, "No, no problem here." And I'm thinking, well, somebody called me. The next thing you know, I turn around and there's like three or four guys coming out of the elevator, all grumpy. They got the same call, and we found out later it was Owen. Yeah, yeah. See, they were harmless. They you know what I mean? They weren't. They didn't cause any damage. It's just harmless pranks. Just again, lighten the mood and make everybody kind of laugh.
Yeah, playful jokes.
Yes.
It's good to have those kinds of laughs, especially if somebody's going through a hard day and a rough day in their life. And
Hmm.
Owen seemed like the kind of guy that really enjoyed being around the guys in the locker room, really enjoyed being around the talent and all the personnel, all the crew and the referees and everybody
Yeah,
backstage. Uh, he's still missed to this day. I know people still talk about like what if Owen was alive today,
I know.
would he be in the business? Would he be doing something else? But
Well,
yeah,
probably, to be honest with you, he probably would not be in the business this day because he was preparing to be with his family, and wrestling was his vehicle for providing for his family, and yeah. So
yeah, he's definitely still missed as
mhm.
well as Eddie.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but like you said, we all we have to remember that the what's important.
Hmm.
Life is definitely it's precious,
Yes, it
and
is.
family, that's what matters. We go on, we move forward, and just keep on going. And
Hmm.
getting the chance to referee, be a part of so many moments and matches in WWE as we're talking about. What has been your favorite part about being a referee?
Um. Oh, my favorite part about being a referee, uh, just being a part of the presentation. I mean, and learning so much about it because when I first started, obviously I didn't know a thing. I mean, like I went in there green and without any training because I didn't know enough to ask questions. And they just threw me in the ring one day and say, "Hey, you're refereeing this match," and I'm like, "Okay," but I'm not going to decline it because I'm not going to say no. But at the same time, I'm thinking, boy, I don't know what I'm doing out there. And as the years went on, I started learning more and more. And then the other thing I discovered basically is that you never stop learning. You never stop learning. And not only did I learn nuances of refereeing and how to improve myself, getting to sit down and listen to all the other guys talk about, hey, we're having this match. Why are we doing this? Reasons why things are happening. What's the story we're going to be telling in the match? And that sort of thought. And I'm like, okay, this is fascinating because I never thought of that stuff before, especially as a fan watching growing up and watching it. I never thought about the okay, this is why they do certain things. This is why this match is taking this route. They're telling a story. The match is a storytelling venue, and for me, it was not only a pleasure to learn that kind of stuff from those guys, but also be a part of that, a part of the storytelling process.
It's that psychology, the
Yes.
whys of your why are you doing the moves, why are you doing
Hmm.
certain things. It's the details, and that's
Yes.
kind of the little nuggets that are just as important as doing all the high spots and the
Hmm.
maneuvers and everything. So okay, so you've been a part of the business for so many years, gotten the chance to work so many matches, meet so many people. Did you ever think about transitioning into another role? Did you just want to stick with being a referee?
Well, to be honest with you, before leaving WWE, I was starting to transition into being an agent. It was just, the slowly working you in at that. I was going down to FCW at the time, and when they were having referee tryouts and that sort of thing, and also talent tryouts, I would go down there and help evaluate and that sort of stuff. And I was enjoying it, but then due to family issues, my father got very sick. Um, I took some time away, which led to my departure from the company, and no regrets. Don't get me wrong. There's no regrets. It just made me think. I had my family had sacrificed so much for me to allow me to do and live my dream job. It was time to give back to them. Then I had realized that it took it took 25 years to figure it out, but then I realized, I've missed so much of time with my family and special occasions and that sort of thing. It was time. The time was right. The time was right. It didn't right. It didn't click right away. It took a little time to figure it out, but I did finally figure out that the time was right.
You had been there for 20 plus years, one
Hmm.
of the longest tenured referees in the company at that time. I mean, I mean, it's got to feel good to be able to have, not everybody is able to stay for that length of time, but
Right.
you were a part of some major moments. So
Yes.
it's a feather in your cap for sure.
Yeah, and it's nice to go back and visit and still have friends, longtime friends that you get to see every once in a while. Unfortunately, I don't travel too much anymore, which is actually kind of a blessing. But when they are in the area, I do go to visit, and it's really cool, you know.
And you got people that come up to you, they remember you, that you may even have called their matches or getting the chance to
Hmm.
work their matches. So yeah, it really is an amazing feeling to have that full circle moment.
Yeah, and really surprised and cool is when I run into the younger talent today, and they come over to me, and they're shaking my hand. He's like, I remember watching you when I was a kid, and I'm like, that's kind of cool, but at the same time, is man, I'm feeling old now.
Well, who are some talent that you go, man, these guys are really good. I wish I was there, working their match.
Ah, I'll tell you, there's uh, if you're looking at WWE right now, I'm looking at guys like Carmelo Hayes, um, Trick Williams, who is making a big name for Oba Femi is going to be a star
Hmm.
one day. Um, I most everybody else I got to work with, I don't. I remember I worked an indie match with AJ Styles, but I would have liked to have worked with this incarnation of AJ Styles. If I look elsewhere, I'm looking maybe like someone like a Mike Santana or Joe Hendry in TNA, which would be nice, which is now Trick NA, but I don't know when this is airing. When I look at AEW, there's a lot of talent there that I was blessed to work with. I'd love to work with a guy like MJF, believe it or not. Him, um, who else? There's a bunch of guys there that would be kind of cool to work with. You look at someone like a Hangman or or even a Will Ospreay if I can keep up. But I don't know if my knees can keep up with someone like him.
The cool thing about wrestling today, I feel like it's really seeing this boom period where you got all these different companies, got incredible talent, and it's accessible. So
Yes.
you don't have to just watch it on TV. You could go on the internet and go on YouTube and find this promotion, that promotion, be able to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
And so much variety that's out there today. But yeah, I mean, you named off some good ones. MJF would be a really good one to
Mm-hmm.
be a part of one of his matches, and Will Ospreay. I do see some big things for guys like Trick Williams
Yeah.
and Obafemi and some of the other guys that are in NXT right now because they're producing some amazing talent that I think are going to do big things in the future.
No, I absolutely agree. I mean, a lot of people look at it as developmental, but uh, I think NXT is more like a third brand now as opposed to developmental. The young ladies and men down there are doing a fantastic job. They do have some veterans on the roster because if you look at guys like Sean Spears, like an Ethan Page, guys like that, they're they're tenured veterans. So they're getting the benefit of working with these people as well as, getting coached by some of the best.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to have some of the veterans there that have been in the business for so long
Hmm.
work with the new guys and the new gals and able to pay it forward. And speaking of
Right.
paying it forward, I know you've helped out a lot with various charity organizations over the years.
Mhm.
What kinds of things have you done to help out in your community?
We've done everything from golf tournaments to for like Ronald McDonald House up here in Canada and Sick Children's Hospital. I don't know. I have this thing. I love children. I love and especially uh, s- children of special needs. Uh, they for some reason they pull on my heartstrings. So I'd love to help them anytime I can. Like recently did a charity event in Kingston, Ontario, which was kind of cool because it was outdoors at the old Fort Henry up here. Anybody who's familiar in Canada knows one of the oldest military fortresses in Canada. It was an outdoor show. It was very cool. It was there to, oh my goodness, I hate myself for not remembering the charity that it was to benefit. But anyway, um, yeah. eh, if it has to do with helping children, that's I don't know. That's my first you know yeah, my first choice of where I'd love to help children that in need, and also any cancer uh, things, because cancer uh, is horrible, and I don't know how to explain it any better than that. But um, yeah, that's pretty much it. Kids, kids hit me right here.
They are the future, and when you see a young kid that's struggling and is going through something, uh, you have to really pay it forward to, and know that this is important. This is something that you should be doing to
Mhm.
help them get over whatever struggles, whatever problems they're having, so that
Yeah.
they can live life as best as possible and enjoy it. Um,
Even if it's a small little thing like making them smile. I mean, whatever it is, you know.
was there a particular event or thing that you participated in as far as giving back that gave you the most joy?
Um, to be honest with you, it wasn't even a charity event. It was just a regular show here in Toronto. There was a young fella in a wheelchair. Yeah, he wasn't able to speak, and he was very challenged. But um, I got to talk to him. I spent about a half hour with him, just sitting and chatting and watching the show, uh, and just watching the excitement on his face, and how much fun he was having, um, made me happy. Other than that, I remember I mentioned Ronald McDonald House. I remember we did a charity golf tournament up here way back when for Ronald. That was a lot of fun because it was a chance to see all the superstars, um, out of character, you know, and just be regular human beings in people's eyes, and getting to see you know, the people around thinking, oh my, you see this persona on television, and they're always like, well, I didn't know he was so nice. He plays such a bad guy on TV, you know.
Well, to you, why do you feel passionate about giving back to your community?
Uh, because so fortunate. I've been so fortunate in my life. I grew up in a wonderful family. I married a wonderful lady, and we have a wonderful life together. And I'm always of the mindset that, you know, giving back is what I was taught to do. Not only taught, it's either there or it isn't. You can't be forced to give back. It has to come naturally. It has to come from within.
Exactly.
And I've always had that feeling where, because I've been as fortunate as I have been, others have not. So it does, even if it's the littlest minor thing, going out of your way to say hello or anything, or just carry someone's groceries, offer someone a seat, whatever it is, just the littlest things. Just it it doesn't cost you anything to be nice.
No, it definitely does not cost you anything. Before we wrap things up here, Jimmy, you've got a radio show and a podcast that you do currently. Talk to me about it and what made you decide to start it up.
Well, I had been doing broadcasting here in Canada for a little bit. Actually had a TV show here on it started on the Score Television Network, which moved to Sportsnet because they carried all the WWE programming. So we used to do kind of like a pre and post game show with my good buddy Ardo Cal, who's now at ESPN. Good on him. Um, then I got a call one day from Brian Hebner, former WWE referee and TNA referee, and he says, I do a podcast. Do you want to join me and be a co-host? And I said, yeah, sure, why not? Let's have some fun. So I joined him, and then Daniel Spencer, who's currently TNA lead official. It's called Refin It Up. So we do a podcast every week, and I have to give a shout out to RJ, our producer, because if without him, we wouldn't be able to do it. Um, and also now, for the last 10 months or so, I've been doing a HugePOP radio show with my buddy Donnie De Silva up here in Canada. And we're having a lot of fun with that. And you can go to hugepopradio.com to check out all our episodes. We have some great interviews with some great current and past superstars, which is a lot of fun.
All right. Yeah. Do you have a favorite interview that you've done so far?
Oh my goodness. I think when I look back at it, we just did one with Tommy Dreamer, and Tommy Dreamer is, man, you talk about someone who's passionate about professional wrestling. Tommy, there's nobody more passionate than Tommy Dreamer, and it shows. And when he comes back and says, "I don't do a lot of these, but I'm glad I did this one," it's a good one.
Yes. Well, Jimmy, this has been wonderful getting the chance to speak with you. It's amazing that you're doing well post WWE and had an amazing career. I just want to say thank you for coming on to the show. Wrestling with Heart means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find more about you and all the cool things you're doing?
Well, like I said, Refin It Up podcast and HugePOP radio as well. All of my social medias at Jimmy Korderas on Twitter and at Real Jimmy Korderas on Instagram. You can find all my work on there and all my ref and rants, which I like doing, which is I'm having fun with. It's just little critiques that I think can tighten screws.
All right. Well, Jimmy, thanks again, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Oh, thank you for having me, and I will be back. Trust me.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
This is Wrestling with Hart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.